Headbanging Podcast and Into the Squared Circle Podcast. That's right, folks. I'm going to do a dual podcast episode. Of course, Into the Squared Circle Podcast, my pro wrestling podcast, and the Lesson In Headbanging Podcast. We were talking about all things rock, hard rock, and heavy metal. And, 24 hours. Today is July 23rd, 2025. 24 hours ago, the news, the world, devastating, shocking. The world lost an icon, a legend, a Hall of Famer, the Godfather of heavy metal, Ozzy Osbourne. Left us 24 hours ago. It's heartbroken, man. It is truly heartbroken. I know I'm not the only one. My gosh, man. It's tough. It's been a tough 24 hours. Finally the news that, first off, yesterday, Tuesday, July 22nd of 2025, like I'm on my lunch break. It's afternoon time. And things are slowly starting to trickle in on social media, right? Rest in peace, Ozzy. And I'm like, no, that's fake. That's not real. I refreshed it. More comes. And I'm like, this is real. And I just kept on going. And I refused to believe that Ozzy passed away. I think not only myself, which is a hardcore wrestling fan, a hardcore rock and metal fan, and hardcore Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath fan. I'm a fan. I'm a diehard fan. And in your mind, guys like Ozzy, guys like Geezer, Tony Bill Ward, guys like Lemmy, guys like Bruce Dickerson, Rob Halford. These guys fall in that class of these guys are untouchable. Alice Cooper, another guy. Keith Richards, Mick Jagger. These guys are untouchable. These guys could live another 100 years. That's what at least my brain's tricking me. These guys are, they're not going anywhere, right? They're internal. But the other part of my brain knows that these guys are human beings just like us. And there's going to be a day when these guys are not here. And what really gave more of a conversation in my head was, a couple weeks ago, right? Ozzy's and Sabbath's final show, Back to the Beginning, in Birmingham, England, to a couple weeks ago. I did watch it here at home. I talked about it. I did a review on it. I watched the whole 8-9 hour show in my bedroom. And I'm grateful I did watch it from my bedroom. And then next thing you know, 2 weeks later, bam, he's gone. And it was when I was watching Back to the Beginning, watching Ozzy, just emotional, just teary-eyed and emotional, watching Ozzy sing "Mama, I'm Coming Home" and "Crazy Train" and "Suicide Solution" and just playing these Ozzy classics, right? But there's a little piece in my brain that was saying, man, how much more can we have Ozzy? I'm enjoying the moment, but what would happen if there's no Ozzy? And now you press the forward button 2 weeks afterwards and there's no Ozzy. Now I'm really feeling that there's no Ozzy on this planet Earth. There's only one of the kind Ozzy. And there's no one else can be like him. No one. There's only one Lemmy. There's only one Ozzy. There's only one Ronnie James Dio. There's only one Randy Rhoads. You can play like them. You can sound like them. But there's only one of them. And again, just like everyone else, have a hard time grasping that he is gone. It just happens so rapidly. Anyway, yeah, it's sad. It's depressing. It's sad. But we as fans, we can celebrate the music, his life, his career with Black Sabbath, the Ozzy Osbourne solo band. Celebrate the music, man, loud and proud, at home, at work, in the car. That's what we can do. Celebrate the life and legacy of Ozzy and Black Sabbath. So I came on here with no agenda, man. I have nothing planned. I'm just flying things off the just talk, man. Just talk. This is natural, real. Nothing's planned here. And it's just kind of looking back at it, my memories, which everyone has their own memories. I'm grateful. I put this on my official X account, Into the Square Circle Podcast, my wrestling podcast. And the only reason why I brought that on, because there's a wrestling connection with Ozzy Osbourne, right? Hold on here. And as I'm recording this, I do have a WrestleMania book here of the history of WrestleMania. And, of course, WrestleMania 2, we had Ozzy Osbourne part of WrestleMania 2. And, okay, here we go. I got a photo right here. Perfect. Right on the photo. Let me see if I can bring it around. Right there. Ozzy Osbourne. Captain Lou Albano. Again, rest in peace, Captain Lou. No longer with us. And if I'm not mistaken here, if Ozzy was at WrestleMania 2, so, again, recording here from the suburbs of Chicago, the legendary All-State Arena, and I use that word wisely, legendary, right? All-State Arena, Rosemont Horizon, is a legendary place, not just for music, but for professional wrestling as well. Of course, All-State Arena held WrestleMania 2, as I mentioned. WrestleMania 2 held 3 locations in the same time. If you're not aware of pro wrestling, not aware of the history of WrestleMania. WrestleMania 2, Chicago, All-State Arena, Rosemont, New York, Los Angeles. 3 different places. And I'm not mistaken if Ozzy showed up at the Chicago location. Anyway, the reason why I brought up the All-State Arena, the Rosemont Horizon, is because it's because of its history. The other history, maybe some may know or not know, the legendary photo of Ozzy picking up Randy Rhoads with the guitar, putting him on his shoulder. That's the iconic photo. It's everywhere, right? It's everywhere. That photo was taken at the Rosemont Horizon, the All-State Arena. So, just that tour across the whole country, that photo was taken in that building. So every time I go there for a show, I seen Iron Maiden, same building. Last year, the Future Past tour in the same building. I've been to pro wrestling so many times, and I just sitting there, and I just close my eyes and just pretend the history inside of there. I could just sit there in the corner of the arena, in my seat, imagining Ozzy picking up Randy Rhoads on stage in that very arena. Andre the Giant, who won the Battle Royal at WrestleMania 2 at the All-State Arena back in, 1986? Just imagine it, man. And that's the reason why I brought it up, because there's a connection, right? Now, Ozzy showed up on Monday Night Raw many times, performed on the program in the past. So Ozzy has deep, same thing with Lemmy. Lemmy had a deep connection because Motorhead played the Triple H Evolution theme song. So, I mean, come on, Ozzy, Lemmy, there's deep connections right there, man. Hellraiser, a fantastic song between both of those guys, between Lemmy and Ozzy. But seeing Sabbath for the final time, of course, here in Chicagoland area, back in, what was that, 2016, 2017? So I kind of brought out my CDs here. Now, I do have vinyl, but I don't have a much vinyl of Ozzy and Sabbath collection than compared to my CDs. Now, I do have quite a bit Black Sabbath vinyl, of course, but I brought out my CDs. And I got to say, man, this right here, from the final Black Sabbath tour, right? This is when Bill Ward, of course, unfortunately was not part of this final tour. We had Tommy Clufatos, by the way, who played on drums and with the Ozzy solo band as well. But Tommy also played drums on the final tour. It alongside with Tony, Geezer, and Ozzy. But this record, it was only sold on tour, on the final tour. So if you happen to be part of that final tour, you happen to witness it, they only sold this CD at the concert, and I have one. Season of the Dead, Cry All Night, Take Me Home, Isolated Man, and a couple live songs off the 13th album. So, The End, the official Black Sabbath The End CD, picked up from the final tour. Of course, you got the Black Sabbath's greatest hits, right? Got to have that, right, in your collection. But, of course, where it starts it all, right? The invention, the architect. As I'm dropping my CDs here. I got to take care of them, man, because they're not going to have any of these around. The architect. The album that starts it all. The beginning. The key reason why they call the final show of Ozzy and Sabbath Back to the Beginning. This is because of this record. The very first Black Sabbath album, which it came out in, 1970? I mean, the song Black Sabbath alone, dark, heavy. What is this? Come on, Ozzy coming in. Just a classic. The Wizard. And of course that big monster song, Wasp Behind the Wall Sleep. NIB. Man, you want something jumping, you want some geezer bass. NIB, man. It's heavy metal essential. Wicked World. By the way, when Slayer did a kick-ass cover on the Back to the Beginning show, and a bit of Finger Sleeping Village Warning. There's nothing to say bad about this. This is a classic, man. This is the essential. If you're a fairly new in the world of rock and heavy metal, you got to say, hey, man, hey, G, what record would you recommend me checking out? Well, this is it right here. This is 101, Heavy Metal 101. This is a must. If I gave you a work orientation, like here is the must before you start this job description, this is in it. This is in the handbook of heavy metal. The Bible heavy metal, however you want to call it. This record as well, Paranoid, came out in 1970, right? Come on, War Pigs. I mean, Paranoid. It's just common sense. Heavy metal. Planet Caravan. I saw a touching tribute of Pantera doing a touching tribute with Zakk Wylde. When I first heard about Ozzy's passing, the first person I thought in my head was Zakk Wylde. How is Zakk doing? You start, and he's not the only guy, man. He's not the only guy. You have a list of guys who's been part of the Ozzy Osbourne band since the 1980, minus Sabbath. But there's a lot of guys that have been in and out of the Ozzy band. But Zach is the most thing you can think of. He's currently active touring. Yeah, Rudy Sarzo's out on tour with Quiet Riot as well. But Zach Wild's currently on tour with Pantera. And I just saw him a couple days ago when they came through town here in Chicagoland area. And it was a hell of a show, which I'll have my previews and prediction, or not my previews and prediction, my review on the concert in the coming days. I was supposed to come out this week, but of course, this unfortunate news that came out of Ozzy. But back to Paranoid, man. Planet Caravan, Iron Man, Essential, Electric Funeral, which is one of my favorites. Favorite song to play on the wah pedal if you're a guitar player. Hand of Dune, come on. Rat Salad, Jack the Stripper, Fairy Word, Boots, man. That's dun, 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 dun. Come on. This is again in the Bible, in the handbook of heavy metal. Paranoid, in the very first Black Sabbath album, Essential. Talk about okay, I'm looking at the two heavy Black Sabbath Ozzy era. Savvy Bloody Sabbath, it's heavy. The song Savvy Bloody Sabbath, that's one of my favorite. National Acrobat, Fluff, Sabracadabra, Killing Yourself to Live, Who You Are, Looking for Today, and Spiral Architect. It came out in 1974. Come on, man. Drop down the guitars, hard and heavy, just dirty. Tony Iommi's guitar work, man. Just the guy's Tony's a brilliant guitar player. And speaking of another heavy one, Master of Reality. So it came out a little bit before that, 1971. So I lied. Savvy Bloody Sabbath, yeah, heavy record, but this one kind of brought that down tuning. I think it starts off here, the down tune of Black Sabbath, right? Was that the C? Was that C sharp? Sweet Leaf, After Forever, Embryo, which dun, 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 Into Children of the Grave, dun, 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 Orchard, Lord of This World, Solitude, and one of my favorite tracks on this record, Into the Void. Dun, 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 dun. Come on, just one of my favorite licks and riffs. Master of Reality. This is heavy Black Sabbath. So obviously Sabbath had which we'll get to momentarily before we switch to the Ozzy solo album, but we also had the Black Sabbath live reunion album, which is a fantastic recording back in 98. Pretty much all the songs I talked about, these studio records, made it on here. Fantastic reunion live album, so good. As I mentioned, the final album of Black Sabbath with Ozzy, number 13, right? Came out in 2013. End is the beginning. God is Dead, Loner, Sieges, Age of Reason, Live Forever, Damaged Soul, and Dear Father. The final Black Sabbath album, number 13, with, I believe, Tommy Clufados was on this record, if I'm not mistaken. So, there we go. Essentials Black Sabbath. So, 1980, or was it 1979, 1980? Got to brush up my little timestamp here. Ozzy get fired from Black Sabbath. So a guy named Ronnie James Dio, right? The Black Sabbath era Ronnie James Dio. They got the greatest hits of Ronnie James Dio era. Neon Nights, Lady Evil, Heaven and Hell. You name it, man. Children of the Sea. Oh my gosh, man. It's just the Ronnie James Dio era was fantastic as well, right? He got some big shoes to fill after Ozzy getting fired. Now that Ronnie James Dio joins the band, what Ozzy does, very simple. He starts his own band called the Ozzy Osbourne Band. released the most iconic, another central heavy metal rock album of all time, Blizzard of Oz, right? He recruits, who's on here? Bob Daisley's on here. Not to look on here on the official. I mean, look at this, man. It's just fantastic, man. Look at this, man. Ozzy, Randy Rhoads. And I just want to make sure I get the credit right on here. And who is the official played on this record? Because I'm not sure it was Lee Kirshnick played on here as well. Obviously, Randy Rhoads was on this record as well. So yeah, Randy Rhoads, Bob Daisley playing on bass, Lee Kirshnick on drums. So this was the original lineup of the Blizzard of Oz. And I say Ozzy, of course. Yeah, we know eventually Bob Daisley left, had issues, little history issues. Obviously, things were made up throughout the years. Rudy Sarzo from Quiet Riot, which Randy Rhoads came from as well, joined the band and played with Ozzy's band as well. But this album is just an ass kicker. This album represent rock and roll. This album is essential. This album is a must in your collection, vinyl, CD, or even on your playlist. I Don't Know, Crazy Train, Goodbye Romance, D, Suicide Solution, Mr. Crowley, No Bone Movies, Revelation, Steal Away. And of course, on this one is the bonus, right? You looking at me, looking at you, Goodbye Romance, and our Randy Rhoads guitars work on here. I think this is the remastered Blizzard of Oz, but essential. This is the essential Ozzy album. Speaking of another one, right? If you had to choose between both of these albums, who would you pick? Of course, following up, Diary of a Madman. Diary of the Madman, 1981. Over the Mountain, just an iconic drum intro. And who was on here? Again, I got to get the credits and who's on his album, right? I know all this stuff, and when you're older you get, this stuff tends to slip out of your brain. Randy Rhoads. Oh, because this is reissue. Remade album. Okay, so yep, Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads, Bob Daisley, and Lee Kirshnick. And eventually they end up redoing it in the studio, if you know about that. And of course they kept Randy's guitar. They put Robert Trujillo's on bass, and Mike Borden on drums as they reissue remastered. But same guys from the first album trickle back into Diary of the Madman. It's a great album, man. Over the Mountain, Flying High again. Just You Can't Kill Rock and Roll. Believer, that's one of my favorites live. Little Dolls, Tonight, Sato, and one of my favorite songs. The album song title itself, Diary of the Madman. Diary of the Madman. So of course, Randy Rhoads lost his life at a very early age. And who's going to fill in for Randy? Of course, we had Brad Gillis from Night Ranger. Filled in for Randy Rhoads for just a tad bit. And eventually they picked up another. And of course they had the Randy Rhoads tribute, which I don't have the CD on me. But they brought another young guy on guitar. And his name is Jake E. Lee, who was at the Back to the Beginning concert as well. And they whip up this kick-ass record. Well, actually, two kick-ass records. Which one comes first? Again, I'm bad with my chronological order here. So it's going to be this one. Iconic, right? Just, again, another central Ozzy Osbourne album. Bark at the Moon. Of course, kick it off with Bark at the Moon. I can't do it, man. But just the Jake E. Lee Bark at the Moon intro riff. Iconic. You're No Different. Now you see me, now you don't. Rock and Roll Rebel, Century of Eternity, So Tired, Slow Down, and Waiting for Darkness. And of course, they have 2 bonus tracks on this CD, Spiders and One Up the B-side. As I mentioned on here, you had Jake E. Lee, part of this lineup. And again, always got to confirm to get the credit, right? So on vocals, Ozzy Osbourne, Tommy Aldridge. Come on, Tommy Aldridge. How come he was not part of the back to the beginning? But Tommy Aldridge still kicking ass on drums. Don Airy still kicking ass on keyboards, playing with Deep Purple. Bob Daisley on bass and Jake E. Lee on guitar. Just an iconic record. It Bark in the Moon, man. It's a classic. It's essential. Belongs in the heavy metal handbook, a heavy metal Bible. Speaking of another one, Ultimate Sin. The song Ultimate Sin. Great, great song. Secret Loser. You Never Know Why. Thank God for the Bomb. Never. Lightning Strike. Killer of Giants. Full Like You. And of course, just the iconic Shot in the Dark. And of course, on vocals, Ozzy, Jake E. Lee on guitar. Phil Susan on bass. And was there Randy Castillo on drums? Rest in peace, Randy Castillo. But yeah, Phil Susan. Another guy that's definitely got to get his name out there, part of the Ozzy band. Of course, Jake E. Lee is out the band. And comes another guitarist everyone knows. Played in the Ozzy solo band. Played with Pantera. Plays with Black Label Society. And he picked up a young kid named Zach freaking Wild. And he whipped up a couple records, of course. New Rust for the Wicked, which one of my favorites, and No More Tears, as we talked about. Miracle Man, which is one of my favorite intros to kick off the album. Devil's Daughter, Crazy Babies, Crazy. Breaking the Rules, man, that's arena rock song. I love that song, Breaking All the Rules. Bloodbath in Paradise, Fire in the Sky, Tattoo Dancer, Demon Alcohol Hero, and of course that bonus track, The Liar and the Miracle Man Live. And as I mentioned on this record, he has Zach Wild on a guitar. Yep, Zach Wild, Randy Castillo on drums, Bob Daisley on bass. And, I forgot, Just Say Ozzy, Live and Loud, which I don't have on CD, and the Osmond Comet, Osmosis, and Down to Earth. I don't have those on CD as well. So I know those are fantastic records as well from Ozzy. But just a killer 80s Ozzy album. Of course, as I mentioned, No More Tears, right? Just iconic. Mr. Tinkle Train. Just fantastic song. I Don't Want to Change the World. Come on, man. That's Mom, I'm Coming Home. Just back to back. Man, I just get emotional just saying those tracks. Desire. The legendary song, No More Tears. Sid. Hellraiser. Time After Time. The Zombie Stop. AVH and Road to Nowhere. I mean, just great songs. Ozzy on vocals, Zach Wild on guitar, Randy Castillo on drums, Bob Daisley on bass, and John Sinclair on keyboards. And just a classic album. As I mentioned, Lemmy written so many songs with Ozzy as well. Of course, you got to talk about this live record, Live in Budokan, right? Live in Budokan, Zach Wild, Robert Trujillo on bass, Mike Borden on drums, and John Sinclair on keyboards. Of course, they recorded as the Budokan Hall in Japan, February 15th of 2002, of course. I was listening to this right after I found out the news of Ozzy passed, and this was the album I put on live just to listen to. Just hearing Zach's guitars, and fantastic. Now, I know we had Patient Number 9 that came out, which I don't have on CD, but prior to Patient Number 9, we had Ordinary Man right here. Straight to Hell, All My Life, Goodbye, Ordinary Man with Elton John, Under the Grave, Eat Me, Today's the Day, Scary Little Green Man, Holy for Tonight, It's a Raid with Post Malone, and Take What You Want with Post Malone, Travis Scott. So this is for a 2020 record of Ozzy. I know we have Patient Number 9 that came out, which I don't have as well. So look at this, man. All this right here. Essential. Not a bad album whatsoever of Ozzy's music. And there's more that I don't have in collection. I have more on vinyl that I don't have on me. It's hard to believe, man. It's just hard to believe he's gone. And what we can do is continue on to celebrate the life, the legacy of Ozzy Osbourne. Continue to crank out Black Sabbath as well. Again, the heavy metal gods, the architects, the Godfathers. And just like everyone else is saying, man, Ozzy had his own way, man. He did it, man. He went out on the high note. He had his final show as a solo artist and with Black Sabbath. And, he went out the way he wanted to, dying, performing rock and roll, baby. And that's what he did. There's no such thing as retirement in the world of rock and roll. You're going to keep playing music until the day you're gone. And that's what Ozzy did, man. And whoever knew that 2 weeks later he would be gone. It's going to take time to process. It's going to take time to understand that Ozzy's not going to be here. And it's going to, the same thing with Lemmy. When Lemmy passed away, it was very hard. It was same thing with Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen, that was another one. That took a lot of time for me to figure it out, man. That when I found out Eddie Van Halen passed away, I had a hard time believing that. Now you throw in Ozzy as well. That just a brick wall. And man, we're gonna miss him. We're gonna miss everyone, man, who's no longer with us. Hopefully they're up there with the big man, big super group. Hopefully him and Ronnie James Dio are getting along. Lebby, Randy Rhoads, Randy Castillo. I mean, one day we won't be with them. One day, man. And man, we love you, Ozzy. We love you. And we're gonna continue to support. Just play the music, and continue on to carry the spirit of Ozzy Osbourne. He's not gone physically in spirit. He's here with us. And as long as we crank his music, man, he's always going to be here eternally. So, Ozzy, we love you. We miss you. And we'll see you on the other side.